good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your real tour Hugo here with another live. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. It is my pleasure, as always, to help you every day a little bit more each day to learn about real estate and how it can benefit you and those around you. My name is Hugo Quintanilla. I am a licensed realtor with Long and Foster, North Potomac, Rockville. Please feel free and check out the website at the QR code up on the screen. That is yourrealtorhugo.com. And yeah, this is your space, 15 to 20 minutes a day to learn about real estate. Today, we're going to be talking about embarking on your leasing journey, 10 essential tips for new renters. Every Friday of the month, we do a different sort of, I like to call them area of real estate. And I like to think about real estate in four major areas: buying, selling, leasing, or investing. So at the beginning of the month, we usually do a buying, then we do a selling, then we do a leasing, and then we do an investing every week on the Fridays of the week. Excuse me. So today it's actually leasing, and with more and more of the population living paycheck to paycheck, not having sufficient funds for a rainy day emergency, leasing has become the number one way for people to get involved with real estate. It's typically the first way that most people have exposure to real estate, and for many, it is the only way that they have exposure to real estate. It takes a lot of personal work and learning on finances and personal development for you to really begin to understand what it takes to get out of that. And a lot of that is just the fact that you have to make more money. Um, or be smarter about your money, or a combination of both. So, really, there are a few things that you can do to help yourself. And we'll talk about tips and things to know for first time renters. So, let's get started. Number one, determine your budget. Calculate your monthly budget for rent, including utilities and other expenses. That sometimes can be difficult to figure out the utilities, but I'll give you a good rule of thumb. You can easily add about $300 extra dollars a month to utilities, well, for utilities on top of the rent. And that'll give you a ballpark, mind you, ballpark of what your utilities will be. So, for example, if you have a situation where, say, you're paying 1,500, no, more realistic, like 2,500, you're probably expecting anywhere from $200 to $300 in utilities. At the end of the day, with everything, you're going to be paying about 2,800. So just prepare yourself mentally for that budget. And you should be budgeting. If you're expecting to move out and get a lease on your own, you should already have a financial budget and plan. It's the number one reason we do applications, is to see if the individuals that we're testing are financially literate and stable enough to know what they need to have on these applications and in savings to make the landlord feel comfortable. Sometimes it is just merely a formality if the landlord really just wants to get the property leased. But there are, especially after the pandemic, we have tons of landlords that want the properly the property thoroughly vetted before it's being handed over to someone that's just going to be living in there. So that's something to think about. Number two, research your neighborhoods. Explore different neighborhoods to find the best fit for your lifestyle and needs. Sometimes that neighborhood that you really want to be in might not be priced to your affordability. So be realistic with yourself, and also set your expectations to a reasonable level. Sometimes a little bit of a longer commute can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars on a property. So take that into consideration, but also factor in gas, factor in cost of travel, depreciation of a vehicle, insurance, risk of just being out and about. These are all things that are unchangeable as with real estate, the biggest key factor is location. So once you find a neighborhood that you like, keep an alert for it. Make sure that you're keeping an eye on the properties, how fast the properties sell in that area, and how much they're selling for, to stay abreast of what the market has available for you. Number three, understand lease terms. Read and understand the lease terms thoroughly before signing. Pay attention to terms like rent, duration, and maintenance responsibilities. I'm sure you can find a copy online of basic leases, but basically, there are four things that need to be in a lease. There needs to be the parties that are involved, the money that's being exchanged, and for what, and then the time that this is going to take place and the responsibilities that are going to be in place for this, and consequences if those responsibilities are not met. So that really is the gist of a lease. There are a lot of people that are in properties without leases, written leases. I find that highly risky behavior, but to each their own. If you are curious legally, after I believe, I believe 90 days. I would even go as far to say 30 days. You're supposed to have a written lease. As fast as 30 days, you're supposed to have a written lease with someone. That's why landlords are so strict about people staying in properties for way too long. Because after a certain point, you could have squatters sitting into your property, and that could really be a big issue. So understand the lease terms, understand if you're able to sublet, if what you're entitled to, what the violations would be, and what your responsibilities are. Make sure that you're giving no excuses to lose your security deposit. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Number four, inspect the property. Conduct a thorough inspection of the property before moving in to identify any existing damages or issues. I always suggest in the walkthrough stage taking pictures and documenting everything as well as you can. Keep it on an online database for as long as you can, and make it accessible to everyone, because transparency is key. So inspect the property. You don't want to be held accountable for something that's not your responsibility, and report anything that might be defective as soon as possible, because there's really your responsibility to not only report it, but also get it rectified and help in repairing the property as soon as possible. Communicate with the landlord. Establish clear communication with the landlord or property manager to address any concerns or maintenance requests promptly. Again, talking about communication and talking about those requests. If you keep good communication with your landlord, check in every once in a while, pay the rent on time, I'm sure they are more than willing to work with you. Now, of course, this is not the rule, and the rule is never just one size fits all. So make sure that you're doing your part and doing the right things. If you have any issues, look at the landlord tenant handbook. It is a great resource on how to properly document any situation that you might have when it comes to a landlord, and a landlord that is not holding up their end of the bargain, because there are certain responsibilities. It's not just like, hey, we're gonna you know take this money every month. It's a little bit more involved than that, and there are certain responsibilities per Montgomery County that um, need to be met. Know your rights. Familiarize yourself with tenant rights and local rental law to protect yourself from unfair practices. Again, like I said, online resources such as the Landlord Tenant Handbook are great. There are also some, of course, um, Department of Home Opportunity, I want to say. But one of those organizations that help with housing, they can give you more resources on your rights and what you're entitled to at the state level as well. But more than anything else, start with the local city and jurisdiction, and then work your way backwards, because really the local jurisdictions are going to be the ones that are going to be dealing with your case, not the bigger ones. Consider roommates. This is also another great option for someone that's trying to build up that savings and needs to move, but maybe is not prepared to move completely by themselves. Now, considering roommates can be a catch-22 because sometimes you might be the responsible party, but the other person might not be the responsible party, and it's really both people's names are going to be on the lease. It's not going to be one of these things where you can just walk away from it. It's gonna damage both parties if one party ends up not paying. So make sure that you're having clear communication with your roommates, and if things do go south, that everything is in writing to hold everyone accountable. Because I think when people all have something to lose, it's a little bit of a different story. People act a little bit differently. Whereas when they don't have anything to lose, it could be a situation of complete disaster. Um, if applicable, consider sharing the rental space with roommates to split the costs and responsibilities. It's good in theory, but if you can save up to it, afford it, work up to it, it's worth it, to live out on your own. I've lived with roommates. It's nice. You learn a lot. But you really don't want to live like that forever. You want to have some sort of independence at some point, and at some point you need a little bit more space. It's different, sometimes, it just really does vary the type of property that you consider home. But yeah, if you have great roommates, why not? Number 8, budget for upfront costs. Be prepared for upfront costs such as security deposits, application fees, and potential moving expenses. This is a big one that people forget is their moving expenses, and they end up, going through all their security deposits, and it ends up, you know, not covering the rest of the stuff. So plan. Set up a budget, work out a budget, get a nice amount of savings together just in case, and then do the move. Don't put yourself in a position where you have to move tomorrow. And I know life doesn't work like that all. But if you make good and steady choices and plan, 9 times out of 10, you'll prevent a lot of these surprises from happening. So it doesn't hurt to look down the line and see what's happening. There's nothing we can do in the past. We have to keep looking forward and move forward. And that's really the best way to get into your future home, if it's a lease or if it's a purchase. And I think a lot of people are going to see the opportunity in probably the next 10 years to buy a home. Is it going to be more expensive? Yes. But I think if people continue to develop better financial know-how and the opportunities that we'll see in the next 10 years with the different asset classes that we'll have develop and the way that real estate will end up shaking out, it's going to be very interesting to see, how the economy and renters and leases will change over the next 10 years. We've seen them steadily go up, but will they maintain that rate? Will they stay up? Will wages match? Will, government step in? These are all factors that are out of our control. So we will see. Number 9, get renter's insurance. This is usually something that you save till you get the property, but protect your belongings with renter's insurance, which can provide coverage for theft, damage, and liability. The renter's insurance is a great idea to protect all your assets just in case there's any catastrophe where everything just goes either flood, fire. It's really rough, but it's nice to at least have a starting point of financially to get back onto. It doesn't compensate for the loss of the sentimental things, but it's something. It's something. So I hope no one has to use their renter's insurance, but it's very important to have as a tenant. So think about it. Number 10, plan for renewal or moving out. Keep track of lease renewal dates and give proper notice if you plan to move out, ensuring a smooth transition. Even if you're leaving your parents' home, if they are going to be a reference on your applications, if they are going to be involved in your co-signing, make sure that you make that a smooth transition outward. I know it's not always the easiest with family, especially living with family, but try to make those bridges in that relationship and build that relationship. Also, don't underestimate the power of paying for rent at home. Sometimes, we underestimate the fact that, hey, we are at home as the children of our parents, but offering, financial compensation, rent. These are all things that might be more cost effective and help you save money while waiting for more stability in your financial situation, because prices are high in a lot of markets. We've seen prices go up a lot. So moving might be very difficult for those that are not financially ready. It could be quite a sticker shock, but I wish you all the best of luck on your home search. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, my name is Hugo Quintanilla. I am a licensed realtor in Maryland with Long and Foster, North Potomac, Rockville. That QR code that you see on the screen right now is to the YouTube channel. So please feel free and check that out. The one up on the corner is for my website. So check that out if you want to have a consultation with me and talk a little bit more about what I can do for you in real estate. Excuse me. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, my phone number is 240-389-4846. My website is yourrealtorhugo.com, and my email is hugo@lnf.com. If you joined in late on the live, these were the 10 tips for anyone starting out on their home leasing journey. Number one was determine your budget. Number two was research neighborhoods. Number three was understand lease terms. Number four, inspect the property. Number five, communicate with the landlord. Number six was know your rights. Number seven, consider roommates. Number eight, budget for upfront costs. Number nine, get renter's insurance. And number 10, plan for renewal or moving out. Um, these are all tips that can help in the leasing process and ensure a positive renting experience. But more than anything, contact a licensed realtor. It doesn't hurt. It really can make the experience a lot more smooth. And especially after the changes that they've proposed to our industry as of late, it could be one of the best ways to find a home in the future. So, check in with your local professionals at your local brokerage, or feel free to reach out to me if you're in my area and need some help. I'm always happy to help. And thank you again for tuning in. I will see you all tomorrow for another live, and on Sunday for a rundown on our top news stories of the week. And this week, we have a doozy. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, suffice it to say, it's going to be a very eventful next couple of months in my industry. So, thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all tomorrow, and take care. Have a great evening.